Welcome everyone to episode 117 of Raw Sport. My name is Ahmed Al Houli, and we are back with another banger. Today we've got a very special guest, the man himself, the man behind Wanderer Promotions, Mr. Ricky Colosimo. How are you, buddy? How's things?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having me on. It's good to be on and have a good chat. Looking forward to it.
That's what we do here at Raw Sport. It's where combat meets the conversation. Ricky, tell us about Wanderer Promotions. How it all started, mate.
Mate, it's been a journey. We've only been going 2 years now, and how it started, I used to fight professionally, and about 3 years ago, I was scheduled to fight Ty Telford, who was the number one guy in Australia at that time. And so, in the lead up for that, I was sparring like the likes of Nikita Zoo, Colin Mazudia, and then also I was Xander Zay's main sparring partner when he was in Australia. So he's now world champion, super welterweight world champion. And everything was going amazing for that fight camp. But I did feel a little bit sick. And unfortunately, 2 weeks before the fight, I ended up getting a real bad shoulder injury. And this ruled me out. And after that, because of the sickness, I started getting more and more sick. And after some time, I was like, I had to stop work. And literally, I was so sick for 2 years and ended up finding out I had a really bad stomach parasite. And so, yeah, I was getting brain scans, heart scans, everything. So it was pretty full on. And during that time, I thought, fuck, I'm not going to be able to coach or fight again. So what am I going to do? And then I reached out to Isa. So Isa was the head of PCYC boxing. And I said to her, I want to do a grassroots boxing show, promote it. I said, can you mentor me? And then she goes, come and have a coffee. And then I co-hosted the Adidas PCYC Championships with her, which was a great amateur show. And I remember the energy in the room was amazing. Like I hadn't seen an amateur show like that with that sort of energy. And I was sitting there in the front row and I was looking around and I thought to myself, if I go all in with this and actually give it the energy that it needs, I said, we're going to change the sport in Australia and become one of the big promotions. So from there, we've done about 15 shows in total, just in over 2 years. And we've done, it was probably about nine or 10 amateur shows. And then we've done the 5 pro shows, which just kicked off last year. And it's been an amazing journey. A lot of people talking about what we're doing and really stepping in the right direction for Australian boxing.
Ricky, what's the vision here? Where are we going with this?
Man, I want to change the whole sport in Australia. You know, I really feel like that boxing deserves a higher accolades than it gets, and it needs to be shown about like the transformative power it has on young men and women. And a big vision that we have, we want to help a lot of Australian fighters really reach to their potential. And mate, there's so many good Australian fighters in the country, but unfortunately, they just don't have the platform or say no limited that do an amazing job. But there's not many guys coming through those middle ranks that have a lot of potential that really get to that top level because they're not nurtured through that process. Essentially, like some of the guys get picked off the top, like Tim Zoos and stuff like that. They get picked up and they get promoted because they're already at that top in Australia. Whereas a lot of these guys coming through, they don't have anyone to really step it up and get that platform for them. And really a big thing, which I want to change as well, there's a lot of these fighters bust their asses for the fight game. You know, like I was saying to someone else the other day that these guys might have 4 fights a year, and for those fights, they're probably getting $2,000 to $3,000 max for each fight, right? And essentially, if you put that across their whole fight camp, that's 10 weeks of full dedication and sacrifice they have to do for that, bro. So that's below minimum wage, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's $200 a week, and then you got to pay for all your dietitians, your food, your physio recovery. So it's a lot. These guys give so much and get so little. So a big thing that I really want to do is get corporate money into the sport and show that by showing that and build stories around these fighters and show that they're really humanized and really show they're relatable to the everyday public. They're just not fighters, you know.
What's been the biggest challenge so far?
The biggest challenge is working out the environment that I'm working in. You know, so as you know, boxing's full of different characters, and you have to get bitten a few times to understand. And you got to but it's been good. Like I've definitely, for me, mate, I've grown a strong backbone and not been, I don't know, like when you first come in the game, a lot of people just go, mate, tear this guy to shreds. But it's been good because it's shown me a lot about my character, and we're going to get to where we're going. So just dealing with those different dynamics and different individuals it's been a bit of a challenge, but it's also been a lot of growth and good for my negotiation skills as well.
They try and take you out, don't they, Ricky?
Mate, it's full on, like even different people that you think that would be in your corner and celebrating that you're actually doing some different moves and that some people switch up on you, and it's funny to see because you see who's real and who's not. And but mate, it's all part of the journey. Always, I was actually saying this to someone else the other day as well. And when you're rising up and you're becoming bigger, there's going to be those people that stand with you and stand for you, and then as normal, there's going to be those that stand against you. And I'll use that all for energy. I look at those ones that stand against me and just go like, this is fun. This makes it like I'm getting better because of this person. So I don't look at it as in bad competition or anything like that. I look at it as, you're going to make me a better person, and I'm going to learn how to deal with you. That it's going to make me level up even more.
Well, I'm of the belief that competition is good.
Yeah,
it keeps people innovating, evolving, and doing things better all the time. As soon as people get complacent, the industry goes downhill.
You know what's funny, Ahmed, which I love, because we started implementing, we're doing things differently, right? And we are being innovators in the sport. And a lot of the stuff that we did now, I'm seeing other promotions copy it. And we just have a little laugh as a team and go, like, look, see that? And it's like, that shows that you're doing good things, because it's gaining traction, and you really, you're showing these people, the fighters, what the people actually like. So it's like a lot of people, they just see the fighter, they see the boxing fight, and that's it. But what they don't see is the story and the journey that they go through to get to that point. And a lot of these fighters, mate, they go on their own hero's journey where they have to face all the challenges on the way. And it's those things that they overcome that sets them apart as people and potential, really.
How do you scout and decide which fighters to back or sign?
You know what I look for? I look for ticker. I look for spirit in a fighter. Like a couple of guys. Like I've got a guy named Gennaro Colangelo. I promise you, he's gonna really emerge in the Australian scene. And how I got him, how I signed him. Someone called me up and said, you should go have a look at this guy. He's going to be good, and it was through a mutual friend. And so I went down. This kid's from Adelaide, and so I went down. He was fighting in Bonnyrigg in Sydney. I went down to the fight. The whole crowd were against this guy, so he had none of his supporters there at all, and they were quite intimidating, the crowd. But he went in there and he versed the main guy, and he was not phased at all. And the other guy was a good fighter as well, but he just raised and lifted. And straight away I'm just going like, I was looking at him in the corner, everyone's yelling abuse at him, and he's just smiling, waving at everyone. And I thought this guy is going to be something, because he was charismatic and he won the crowd over. And so
he's an entertainer.
100% entertainer. But he could actually back it up. Like a big thing that I'm seeing, Ahmed, like being on the other side, because I was a fighter myself, and I always looked when I was fighting that I wanted to take out the best guys in front of me. That was my mentality when I was fighting, is like climb the ladder and do it that way. But a lot of these fighters, or I don't say a lot, but some fighters, they want to take an easy route and really just get the clout, and when they don't really want a hard fight. And so being on the promotional side now, I've had a front row seat to see who's who in terms of the fight games, which fighters are actually real fighters, and which guys are going to step up. So the guys that really back themselves, they're the guys that I want to back as a promotion and as an individual as well.
Wow, absolutely. What separates Wanderer Promotions from other promoters in Australia?
Mate, I've bled for this sport. I started in the grassroots. My first fight when I was 17 years old, and I went through. I was training down at the AIS. Had 25 amateur fights. I was actually in the AIS in the room with George Kambosos on one of the camps when he was young, And I look at that and go, mate, I've gone through the whole system, so from every level. And then I went over to America. I had my pro debut in America. I had 2 fights in America. I lived in New York for 6 months training with Buddy McGirt, who's one of the most famous trainers in the world.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
And so I know from the grassroots up to a high level in Australia. So that last fight was to fight for the #1 spot in Australia. and I know what these guys go through. And I didn't start this. You were just talking offline now, and it's not a money making thing. As a promoter, people need to understand that you're not making money. Like a show will be lucky to break even or just make a little bit of money. I'm doing this for the love of the sport and to really help and make a difference. Like I look at some of these young guys and I think, fuck, if I had someone like me when I was young to sort of show the pathway and do the guidance and stuff, that would be the ultimate game changer. I would have gone on to do much bigger things. But a lot of these guys haven't been shown the way, and that's what we want to do through our promotion. It's going to be like mentorship and building their marketability, public speaking, all these different things that they're going to have access to through our promotion. We're not just a fight promotion. We're actually a whole sort of ecosystem for the fighter.
Very nice. Very refreshing and different. Not many people focus on that aspect of the sport where you prepare fighters to face the media, to build their brand, to put themselves front and center, not just in the ring, outside the ring. Not much going on there. So you're sort of approaching this more like a professional sporting team, really.
Mate, you know what I've always said, Ahmed? I said, if you look at football, right? Say if kids are good when they're young.
AFL or soccer?
NRL, sorry.
NRL, rugby, there you go.
Yeah. They get put into development squads and that from a young age. And they're pretty much, you can earmark these guys when they're 12, 13 years old, who's going to make the NRL, a lot of these guys, And so a big thing that I really want to do is build boxing from the foundation up. So the grassroots up. We're not focused on the top end guys saying where we're going to come in and make some money off these guys. We're focusing on the bottom and building the whole structure and then allowing a pathway. Like there's a guy fighting on my card now coming up, Tyrell Adams, and he fought on my first ever amateur card as an amateur. So that was 2 years ago. And then at the start of this year, he made his pro debut on my card, which was amazing. And now on this show, now in September, he's going to fight for his first title on my card. So
wow.
Essentially what we want to show to people is that through our promotion, you can come all the way from a grassroots amateur and really build towards those big titles and those bigger fights. And eventually we do want to put on those world titles as well.
How would you describe the current state of boxing in Australia?
Mixed, very mixed. Like it's got some amazing potential. I think there's a lot of fighters with great potential, but one thing I've noticed is a lot of these guys sit on the shelf and they let their potential go out the window. And it's even for me when I was fighting, I was so inactive at different times. And I think a big thing what needs to happen is these guys we need a regular system where they always stay active and get in those fights. And a big thing, which is also is the promoters coming together and all working together to build the sport and put on the best fights happening. Like there's so many. I'm lucky, Ahmed, because I'm not a dickhead to people. Like, and I try my best to work with everyone, and I don't mind. I put the ego aside and just say, all right, let's do what's best for the fighters, for Australian boxing. Because first of all, out of everything, I'm an Australian boxing fan. And I loved when No Limit first came onto the scene and COVID happened, and the best Aussie fighters started fighting each other. And I was like, man, this is what Australian boxing needs, because the best fighters actually do need to fight each other in Australia before you can even go claim that you're going to go outside of Australia and win titles internationally. To me, I don't understand when you're getting international fighters over or you're going over when you haven't even cleared out your backyard. So I'm a big believer that Australian boxing, to really make it at that top level again, it doesn't matter win or lose. What matters is the performance that the fighters put on. And you look at the UFC, like we can learn a lot from the UFC model where the best fighters fight each other. And even if they take losses, their popularity still grows if they put on big performances. And that, for me, that's a big thing that I want to do through our promotion, that we really give that fighters a platform to perform. And even if they lose, they're still going to get looked after.
How do you navigate this current quiet Cold War where certain people can be on certain networks, other people can't? How do you navigate that?
Communication, So it's funny. You know, even in the last 48 hours, because I don't know if you saw, I had a go live with Wildfighter from Will
I
Thomas.
did.
Right?
I'm
Yeah,
before the fight. Yes.
correct. And so we had a little bit of a offline. We were having offline discussions, and I wasn't too happy about the way he was handling some of those negotiations because we had an agreement, and then things changed. He went back on that, right? And so whatever he wanted to do, that's fine. But I've got a relationship with most of the promoters. In the last 48 hours, I've been on the phone to three of the major promoters in Australia, all for half an hour each, and we're just talking, you know, and talking about because mate, I want to make the best fights happen, and if that's got to be me giving up some ground for that, I've got no problem in that at all, as long as we can actually make these fights happen for the Australian fans. And I don't care about clout or saying that it's me that made it happen. If the fight happens and the Australian fans, we're going to grow the Australian fan base, then everyone's going to win anyways. So I don't have that short sightedness of saying I've got to make this fight happen on my card. I don't mind that it's not on my card, as long as everyone that is watching, the Australian fans, that's going to grow because they're watching this fight. It's going to attract more attention, and that's going to build our promotion anyway.
Which is a perfect segue into my next question. What's holding Australian boxing back from being a global force, and what's the solution?
You know what I would love to see. This is. I've been giving this some thought, right? And I was thinking about saying that a lot of the promoters, like at the start of the year or even towards the end of this year, we should all just meet up and have a board day or like in a meeting and just
A conference.
Yeah, conference. Yeah, and work
Yeah.
out a schedule for the fights next year, and say essentially that everyone works in together. There's enough room there for everyone, and then we could use each other's fighters, keep it growing, and everyone that way. There's no competition. It's everyone collaboratively working to make the whole pie bigger instead of taking a bigger piece of the pie.
Let's put a call out.
I would love to be a part of that. I can even host it, whatever. You know, I think it's such an important thing for Australian boxing that everyone works together, and it's like, of course, you're not always going to get your way. Like even for me, there's things that you have to give and take in this game, and it's that's a part of it. You know, sometimes you might lose a little bit here, but you're going to gain different things. And even with the discussion with Will. Like I said to him, I said, mate, if it's not on my card, that's no problem. But let's put it on a neutral card, so that way the fight fans get to actually see the fight, and then the Australian boxing fans win. That's the main thing that I want to do, mate. I want to make Australian boxing exciting and let the fans really be able to enjoy these fights.
So, talking about Wild Will and Wildfighter,
Yeah.
I honestly had not planned to go into this, even though I've seen the live. I thought we're not the network that really goes into the day-to-day news. We talk about the industry, but
Yeah.
since you brought it up, have things gone backwards since your last live?
No, like it's actually been very, very. We're still in the middle of it now, but it's been funny because that actually go live because, mate, I've always said, right, we're not going to bullshit anyone. We're a promotion that we'll tell it the way it is, and even if some things get exposed or whatever, if I make a mistake, I'll own that mistake, right? But there's different things from that go live what happened because people were watching. And I think he's feeling a lot of pressure from that go live now. So he's seemed to be making a bit more of a move to try to make that fight happen, which is great. And it's but you know talk is talk. It's whether the contracts get signed and that's a different thing, you know.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. All right. How do you balance the business side with giving fighters what they need? That's a pretty tough task.
A very tough task, you know, a very, very, very tough task. And it's like, you got to understand in a show, I'm a promoter, right? And I'm the one putting all the fights together and I'm the matchmaker. I do all that stuff. And so essentially I'm working with, I'm working with 20 different teams for this next show. So you look at that and that's 20 different negotiations, 20 different personalities that I've got to deal with. And it's like, and then I still got to
In
do all,
boxing. In boxing.
then I got to still do all the planning for the show as well, And so trying to mix that all in, and I'm 100% transparent. Like, I'm generous with the fighters, and try to say, I'll be 100% transparent. So I'm like, this is what a fight costs to put on. This is what all the costs are behind the scenes, catering costs, etc. This is how I think we can make it work. And every negotiation is different, but to their credit, most of the teams have been pretty good. And I think I'm a big believer if transparency is there, then there's nothing can get miscommunicated.
Your fight nights have been a bit different. You've been bringing a bit to the table.
Yep.
What goes into planning a successful fight night that the regular fan just doesn't see?
Mate, the first pro show I did, because I actually had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea at all. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this work. I don't care how much work it takes, I'll make it work. And so, mate, I worked from home for a lot of that show, but I was doing, I would say, close to 100-hour weeks, 90 to 100-hour weeks, big weeks. And I'd wake up in the morning, I'd get fucking straight on my computer and then doing. So I did everything for that first show in terms of all the travel, all the hotels, transfers, everything like that, all the contracts, the negotiations, the marketing. I did all of that stuff, working at the catering meeting with the different teams. So the amount of work for that was huge, right? And I thought to myself, mate, I remember I'll never forget this feeling, because halfway through one of the weeks, I was fucking exhausted. And I went outside to have a cup of tea. And I remember sitting out on the veranda, and I was looking outside, and I thought, fuck, this is crazy, stupid amount of work. And then I'm like, but I fucking love it, it was quite funny. And I thought to myself, it was the most beautiful feeling, because when the show was happening, because a lot of people weren't taking me serious, and they were looking, going like, what do you mean you're going to be a boxing promoter? Like, what's that? Or like, and then because I invited quite a lot of guests on that night, and when people walked into the room that time and they could feel the energy, they could see the atmosphere, they're like, all right, this guy's onto something,
It's fair income. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And even my team, they believed in me, but they didn't have that certainty as yet. And then when they saw that, they were like, everyone's now, mate, we're all doubled down on the vision, and the whole team is like, they can see where we're going. And it's so exciting. Like, we all speak on the daily, and it's just like, mate, this is a fun journey. It's so much work, but this is every challenge that comes up. It's all a part of a bigger story,
Absolutely. Who's one up and coming Aussie fighter you think the world needs to watch and learn more about?
Are we talking like how advanced are we talking? Like, can they be very early on, or what?
Whatever comes to your brain, Ricky.
I think one guy from our stable who's going to do amazing things in the future is John Scroy. So John, I don't know if you're much aware of him, but John's one of Tim Zoo's good friends. And so John he's a British guy, English, and he won the under-13s sprint 100 meters in England when he was 13. So this guy's a pure athlete, right? Like, he's fast. And I've seen him spar many times against many, many quality fighters. And he's got it. He's got it. I remember the first time I saw him spar was, I was fighting at the time, and then he had 2 or 3 amateur fights. And I went up to his coach. I said, who's this guy? And I said, he's fucking good. Like, I want to tee up some sparring with him. But we never sparred. But I look at him now and think, this guy's got some serious potential about going somewhere.
Wow. Is there a dream matchup or event that you'd love to put on or host?
A dream event or?
Yeah, or matchup.
Yeah, well, for what I do want to do, this is I don't want to announce too much, but we're going to start a part of it for Australian boxing for these fans, and it's Australian Boxing Fantasy League. And so it's essentially what can happen is that fighters or fans can put into see which fights they want to make in between Australian boxers. And so
Wow.
if that generates enough interest, then we're going to open up negotiations with other promoters and say, look, this, you can see the traction on this. Fans want to see it. What do we have to do to make it happen? That to me, that's how a lot of good fights are going to happen in the future, because it's going to be what the people want.
Take me through the next 12 to 18 months. What's happening down your way at Wanderer?
Yeah, we got it's going to be a big period. We're just doing some mind maps over the last couple of weeks for the next 2 years. So we're going to do some Horden shows next year. We've got broadcasting. Hopefully, get broadcasting for this show, which will be international. This will really elevate and show where we're at. Like this next show in September, this is going to be up there with one of the best cards in Australia for not only the year, but the last couple of years. Like, man, I'm telling you now, the 50-50 fights, like I always, now as a matchmaker now, I only put on fights that I want to watch. And so the amount of times, one of the most challenging things that I've had, Ahmed, is over the last period is people coming to me with easy fights and saying, I want to fight this guy. And it's not even it's a blower, it's a walkover. And so I'm very big on keeping the integrity of the sport, and I don't want to put on shit fights. Like, I want to be known for a promotion that puts on quality fights. And so my biggest thing is really this next show is going to be from top to bottom, 50-50 fights. So we were talking offline before, but there's potentially 10 matchups. There should be 7 today of 100% locked away. And man, I'm excited to keep rolling out some of these matchups. Like, the people, the fans, you're going to be very surprised with the quality that we put on. And Ebony Bridges is going to come and host it. We've got the likes of Jeff Fennick, different people like that all backing it now. And
Jeff's a good friend of the show.
yeah, nice. Well, Jeff can see it. Like, I've dealt with Jeff a number of times. Like, he's a good bloke, and we and he sees where we're going, and he sees it,
I see you're slowly incorporating the female component. Ebony, you got the young lady who does all the hosting and so on, which is great. Are you going that way? Are you looking at pushing towards bringing in more female fighter, the Jake Paul path?
100%, we are. A big thing, because if you look at it, and then in terms of demographics, and Australian female boxing is fucking rapidly rising. I tell you, the crazy thing is, Ahmed, many years ago, I actually started Ebony Bridges boxing. So she used to come over, and we used to train 5 times a week in the gym here. And then I said to her, to her credit, because she was very raw. She always had amazing power. But I said to her, if you're going to take this serious, I said, you need to go all in. And I said, stop doing your other stuff outside, And so to her credit, she knuckled down. And I said, I'll take you to a fight gym. I took her to my coach at the time, who was Arnel Baratillo, and Baratillo Boxing. And then, so Ebony's had about 20 amateur fights in the space, very short time. And I was in the corner for a lot of those amateur fights as well. So it was a big
there you
thing.
go. Something new. Yeah.
It's crazy, because I look at her now, and we speak a fair bit, and she goes, mate, like, so much of the stuff that you taught me is stuff that got her there. And I look at that and go, mate, there's a huge demographic. When she was fighting, there was hardly any Aussie girl fights.
Not much happening, yeah.
And you look at how much it's grown over the last couple of years, and even with Instagram and that, and it's a lot of the prettiness and stuff, they're still incorporating that, but they've got a lot of mongrel as well. And so combining the two, the girls can see they can be pretty, but can still kick some ass. And I think that's a big thing about how the sport's growing, because it's getting some attention and getting a lot of traction in terms of just viewership and stuff like that. So it's amazing.
Wow, there you go. What advice do you have for young fighters trying to make it?
Couple key things. I wish I did this when I was fighting. And a big thing that I would say for any young fighter is go get some public speaking skills. Go get some learn media training. Do something of that nature, because if you're going to be something, you are going to have to get up and you're going to need to talk in front of many people. And it doesn't matter how good a fighter you are, if no one knows about you, you're not going to go anywhere. So you need to understand that business practice, that marketability is a big thing.
Or come and see Ricky.
That's number one. Number two is know what's ahead of you, because a lot of people, this is coming from a fighter's perspective, you set out and you look at the dream and you look at the goal and think, fuck, I'm going to do that. But what you don't look at is all the challenges and all the difficulties that are going to come with that. And you don't even, that's not even in your awareness at that stage. But understand that when you start out on a journey to be a champion or try to make something of it, there's going to be so many hard challenges that are really going to be sent to break you. And you've got to be prepared to really knuckle down and push through those, because that's going to what's going to make you a champion. It's not actually the fight's the easy part. The hard part is getting to all that levels, going through the stages, the challenges, and then actually staying true to the path and really committed to the goal at the start.
Okay, and finally, you got a big show coming up in September. Tell us all about it. You got an interesting matchup on there. When date, time, broadcaster is still coming, but we'll share it on our social media channels once the broadcast is announced. But tell us everything else.
Mate, we get a huge show September 25th. This will be the show that really puts us on the map. So a lot of the fights, we've got some amazing fighters. We've got Cole Mazudia. We've got Arlene versus Engafis versus Jess Messina. It's going to be a cracker female fight. We'll see if we get this Jason Malia versus Marco fight on. There's probably about 5 main events in the show itself. So it's going to be an amazing show. We've got Ebony Bridges hosting with Monique Bavino. We've got Jeff Fennick, Ted Kofi, and also Kel Brook is going to be a part of the team as well. So Kel Brook is a world champion from England. So that'll be amazing. It's at the all new Bella Live. So this venue I'm telling you, when people see this venue, they're going to be blown away how good it is, and it's perfect for boxing atmosphere. So very much looking forward to that one. It's gonna be amazing. So you can get your tickets online or from our Instagram. If everyone can give us a follow on the Instagram on Wanderer Promotions,
That's the one.
You're gonna see us do some big things over the next couple of years. So we're going to change the sport in Australia by building it from the grassroots up and really helping these fighters. So a big thing that we want to do is really grow the viewership on Australian boxing, and we're going to do that by building the storylines behind the fighters. And do it in a way that's never been done before. So stay tuned and watch the journey unfold.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The disruptor, the innovator, Mr. Ricky Colosimo. Mate, you're doing a lot. Doing a lot. I wish you all the best. I thank you very much for taking the time to join me on the show. And we will be backing you and share all your updates throughout. Thank you, Ricky. Thank you to everybody who tunes in. Take care, everyone. Take care, Ricky. See you later, everyone.